sort of like being in church. Nobody wants to sit up front.
So we're streaming. Y'all, this is a first. Rotary District 5890 is streaming something from the beginning to the end. We have not done this before. Yes, it's 2017, and many other organizations have been doing this for decades, but this is a first for us. I want to welcome y'all to the Fall Foundation Seminar. We were going to start, with the invocation, I pulled rank, where I chose myself to do the invocation, if you'll join me in prayer, and then we'll be followed by District Governor-elect Carmen Cuneo will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come together tonight, whether in person or by video or by future movie. This is one of those opportunities when people who have a desire to help can be there when there are people who need help. It matters not our race, it matters not our religion, it matters not what our creed is. We all have that innate desire to help those that need help. Help us to remember that we should take people like they are. They may not be where we want them to be, but they are where they are. Give us the patience to deal with them, and hopefully that patience for them to deal with us. Be with us through this night. Help it be productive. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. District Governor-elect Carmen Cuneo will be followed by Patrick Leslie for the four-way test.
Rotarians and guests, please stand as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I forgot to advance your slide. Sorry about that. Patrick Leslie of the Rotary Club of Bel Air Southwest will lead us in the four-way test. Yes.
If you will follow me in the four-way test of things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. First,
is the truth.
Second,
is fair to all concerned.
Third,
will it build goodwill and better friendships.
Fourth,
will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Okay. A few remarks from me, a few remarks from our district governor. Like I said, we've not done this before. Our foundation seminar, we had to cancel. We are having this fall foundation seminar. Notice it's the fall foundation seminar. In January, we will have the winter foundation seminar. We will not have a spring and summer. Well, except for when District Governor Cuneo takes effect. The news of that will be announced in the not too distant future. But what I did want to address a couple of things is the fact that we are streaming, we've already talked about that. That November is Foundation Month. All contributions made to the Rotary Foundation during November in an amount of $100 or more, we will be matching through recognition points. So that includes whether a check is turned in tonight, whether a check is sent in by the mail. We'll figure out how to do this. $99 won't work because we can only transfer Paul Harris recognition points in quantities of $100 or more. So, any contributions this month for $100 or greater, we'll match them with Paul Harris recognition points. And I think we got that out. Also, we'll talk later about the district designated funds. If I could turn my attention over to District Governor Bill Palco.
Short and brief. I want to first of all thank everyone for coming out tonight, and those of you who are viewing us on live stream, thank you for attending. And this will be available on video later on to rewatch. Most importantly, I want to say thank you to all of you here tonight and all of you viewing for what you have done since Harvey hit us. The work that we have done is just amazing. Disaster Aid USA and Wayne and Patrick and Graham and you people got out there and started working. What you all done is fantastic. The relief efforts are ongoing. Now we're in the recovery mode. And that's what we're here for now. Recovery is going to take several years. We know that. The great news is Rotarians from around the world have come together to support our district and the districts throughout Texas that have been decimated by Harvey. We have a donor-advised fund at Rotary National Foundation that has money available to us for projects, and we have our own disaster District 5890 Charities Inc. Fund, which has monies available to it. That is what we're here for tonight. You're going to learn now about the monies available through those funds and how you and your clubs can use that money for recovery projects. So I'm going to turn it back over, and we're going to learn how to use that money. Let's go out there and make this recovery efforts. And again, thank you all for what you've done.
Thank you, Bill. What we're going to do now, the next segment, is we're going to look at what 3 different clubs have been doing. I have my stopwatch in hand. We're not going to be here late tonight. They know that I'll be giving them a 1-minute warning, and my 1-minute warning means we shut them off. And I know you all would appreciate that. Let me also say that later tonight, there will be the opportunity when we get into a more specific nuts and bolts discussion of some of the funding sources, that we will also have a Rotary 101 presentation in the room down the hall for those that they've heard enough, they've got it, but it's not their role in the club to be dealing with the grants and those types of items, and they want to get a little bit more background for just what the heck is the Rotary Foundation. So we'll be doing that, and Terry Ziegler will be handling that when he gets out of traffic. I think Terry knows what he's talking about when it comes to Rotary 101. We're going to start off, and we're going to start off with the Rotary Club of Houston Skyline. And it's going to be Mr. Ed Pettit. Put you up here, Ed. Here we go.
Ollie. My name is Ed Pettit. I'm a member and board member with the Rotary Club of Houston Skyline. And I'm going to be speaking about our Rebuild Houston initiative, launched shortly after Hurricane Harvey. The genesis of this came about when many of our Skyliners were already individually involved with relief efforts. I was fortunate enough to host a family who was displaced in my home for about 2 weeks through the Airbnb disaster response program. We also had a number of members who volunteered with the Red Cross and Baker Ripley at the various shelters around town. A lot of our members helped with mucking out homes with Disaster Aid USA, and some even provided financial support out of their own pockets to help address those immediate needs before other funds and programs became available. Our good deeds did not go unnoticed. In fact, the Rotary Club in San Francisco reached out to us and pledged $10,500, which we've since received, towards our efforts. And we met shortly thereafter to discuss how best to use those funds. I'll be speaking about that today. We have also contributed over $2,500 from our own Rotary Skyline Partners Foundation, and a number of individual member contributions have come since then, to the point where we're now about $18,000 in our budget for this initiative. So what we decided to do was to focus on individual families. One of our members, Melissa Williams, was able to get in touch with a family, the Flores family, the mother of which was a teacher's aide. And they reached out to Melissa and said, we were flooded, we don't have insurance, FEMA has denied us, and we really need funds to get back on our feet. But the husband and the adult son, no construction work. So they were willing to put in the work to fix their own home. They just didn't have the funding to do so. So that was one family that we already had a personal connection with. I had a personal connection through a couple families through some mentorship work that I do in the airport. And one of those families, the Rumble family, was living in the Clayton Homes public housing complex, which is right along the Buffalo Bayou, right near downtown. And their apartment completely flooded, and they had to be relocated to a FEMA motel. They also lost their car. And I was also connected to another family, the Thea family, whose son was living with the Rumble family for a while because they had been experiencing episodes of homelessness over the past few years. And even though their home didn't flood, the mother lost her job due to some hurricane-related reasons, and they also had some roof flooding from rain damage. This is the two boys of the Bethia and Rumble family looking out over Buffalo Bayou. And this is right along the public housing complex. And this was after the storm, of course, after the water receded. But when, at the height of the flooding, it reached the second floor of this public housing complex. And in fact, in the photo on the right, you'll see the husband, Orville, speaking with the FEMA vector. And Orville actually had to swim out the second-story window of his home. And when he swam out, he actually rescued an elderly man and his granddaughter from next door. He carried the granddaughter in his arms, the elderly gentleman on his back, and swam them to safety after the storm. And so that complex has been completely ruined, and we're not quite sure they're going to be demolished, basically. And so what they've done is they've given vouchers to some of those families that were flooded out. This is the two young men surveying the damage of their home. And as you can see, they've lost everything, and even some of the stuff from the second floor was looted after they left, a lot of the electronics. This is what remained of their vehicle. But in spite of all that, they're resilient. So just shortly after they surveyed the damage of their own home, they were out at one of the shelters in Third Ward helping to deliver food. So these are the families that we're helping. So the Flores family, we have supplied them with sheetrock and supplies to fix their walls. We've purchased all of their kitchen and bathroom cabinets and doors. We were able to get 10% off through Home Depot, completely tax-free. And we will be painting their home soon once their electricity has been restored. With the Rumble family, we had to meet some emergency needs for clothing, groceries. They literally had nothing when they left their home. Vicki Brenton volunteered to prepare meals. Other members chipped in for that as well. And we also use our own personal vehicles to transport them around in those first couple weeks. We were also able to nominate them for a grant from Bolo Wood-Fired Pizza for $1,000. So they were one of 5 families selected for that grant. And also, the Sharma family generously donated a used vehicle, a Lexus nonetheless. And that was what allowed those parents to get back to work. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get back to work. We've also been providing them with ongoing family and financial mentoring, spearheaded by Vicki Brenton, and we're also helping them to identify long-term housing with the voucher that they've received, and hopefully even a home that they can one day own themselves. So our next steps, we continue to provide family and financial mentoring. Many of these families struggled even before the storm. And so our goal isn't just to restore them to the position they were at, but actually to help them come out even stronger. And that will require a lot of mentoring for members of our club. We're also continuing to assist with long-term needs, whether that's helping them find jobs, get better housing, and so forth. We also hope to pursue a collaborative project with Agape Development. So one of the oldest sons of the Bethia family, we were able to get him his first full-time job with Agape Development work. And since then, he was able even to purchase his. And Agape is doing that with a lot of young people and also second chance folks who, for some reason, because of a criminal blip on their record, aren't able to, are struggling to find work. They're bringing them on to their landscaping crew, their construction crew, and then using those crews to go out and rebuild homes of families affected by the hurricane. And so we're hoping to work with them to kind of expand that work, since that falls in line very much with our family-focused initiative. We also hope to reach out to the donor-advised fund and district charities, as well as get contributions from and partner with clubs that are in this room to expand that work. And finally, we hope to partner with the Greater Houston Healing Collaborative. In fact, we have a project in the works on behavioral health and resilience building. And I'm going to call up our president, Sanjay Sharma, and he is going to speak a bit more about that collaborative.
Thank you.
1.5.
Okay, well, I will speak quickly. I do not need the mic, as you can tell. But what I'm going to be talking about...
For the video.
Nobody online will hear you without the... Okay, well, I will use the mic then. So I'm going to be speaking to the words of Michelle Barrier. Okay? Tonight I stand here to talk about the opportunity to help hundreds, no, actually thousands, regain their lives after Hurricane Harvey. I want you not to just to see and hear me, but I want you to suspend relief for a few minutes and see and hear Michelle Barrier. I recall how moved I was when I heard her tell of her experience, but living it was just so much more. On January 10th, 2012, Michelle, Vicky, and Caprice and a group of others landed in Port-au-Prince. Within 40 minutes, the earth shook and life as they knew it would never be the same. Everywhere they looked was devastation, suffering, and death. Praying, giving hope in the form of baby aspirin, watching moms holding their dead babies, walking over bodies, and seeing the trauma and exhaustion in the eyes of the medical providers was all they could see. The smell equaled in horror. I judged, wanted, and I needed to go home. I could not see death, and I did not know how much longer I could survive. That's what Michelle would tell you. She also would tell you that Vicky was equally as traumatized, but wouldn't admit it as openly as she does. How different would I be had I received the trauma group classes that we will have the opportunity to share with those devastated by Harvey? At some level, the experience is different, but fundamentally, Harvey victims had their world shaken, losing everything and not knowing how or when normal would return. Long after the mucking is forgotten and the outside of houses look normal, people will be panicking when the rain starts. People will freeze in their cars when they see even the slightest high water because of post-traumatic stress disorder. It's real. We have a chance to help give people their lives back by working with the collaborative. As you can see, and most of you have, there's 2 papers that you will be able to look at. And there's also some on the back table as you walk out the door. And there's detailed information on the table for you. Skyline is all in. We are putting in our money, our time. We will lead, we will train, and we will serve above ourselves in the name of Rotary. The cost to train a trainer is $3,000. The collaboration is committed to significant funding, as we should be as well. We ask to be awarded as much money as available. So please, post-traumatic stress disorder is not something that people just get. Ask a veteran. Ask anybody who went through Katrina. Ask anybody who went through Harvey, or any of the houses that you have to clean. When you look in those people's eyes, when you see any water starting to build up on the street, you will see the horror that they had to relive. Please think about it. Talk to your members. Get in touch with us. We want to work with you, and this could be something great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Jeff Thompson with the Katie Club, and since he is eloquent enough that he doesn't need a PowerPoint, I'm going to borrow the laptop over here while I get rid of some of this.
Stand to your
Well, I'd have
left.
brought a PowerPoint if I knew one was required.
Stand to your left. It's not showing up on.
Is this where you want me?
That's good.
Awesome, thanks for the feedback. So I want to take just a few minutes and share with you a few of the things we've learned at the Katie Club post-Harvey. And also share with you some of the stories about what we've been doing to respond and what we're continuing to do. So I want to tell you some of the things we've learned is, first, I've learned that you don't have to be prepared to respond to a crisis and be in service. Because we absolutely were not prepared. We had no plan. We had no idea what we were going to do. In fact, when I look back at the things we've already done and what we're still trying to accomplish, I have no idea how we're even getting it done. The first thing I will say is that when something like this happens and you see the need around you, you just somehow respond. And that's exactly what we've done. I'll tell you, it started, and we've done a lot of things from cleanup to fundraisers, but it started with a simple phone call from president-elect of our club, calling me to tell me that there was 6 inches of water in his house, and it had gone down, and he wanted to know if I thought it would be okay to ask some of the members of the club to come help with getting the carpet and the wet flooring and stuff out of his house. So without any plan, we just started making calls, found people that could get to his house that weren't dealing with their own issues. And the very first house we mucked out was Rotarians helping Rotarian. And we didn't have any idea what we were doing. In fact, on the drive over to that house, I spent
a good bit of that drive talking to Wayne Beaubier with Disaster Aid USA going, hey, we're about to start cutting sheetrock out. What do we need to do? Because none of us had ever done it. But by the time we were done with that first house, everybody was feeling really good. All those great feelings that come from seeing a mess and then walking away and it looks better than when you got there, and the gratitude in the eyes of the people that you're helping. So I got home that night, and about an hour later, my president-elect called me again. He said, so my in-laws' house was flooded too. They had 4 feet of water in their house in Old Katy, and there was a church group that showed up today to clean out their house. And when they looked at how bad it was, they said, we can't help you, and they left. When you get a call like that and you say, what do you say? I'm like, Chris, we'll be there tomorrow. So spent several hours on the phone that night. We rounded up about 30 Rotarians from not only within our club, but Carmen was there. We had Rotarians from all over the district come to help us. So Wayne showed up with a disaster aid trailer. We got that house clean. It took the whole rest of the weekend. It was a huge project. I know the minute I got there why the church group had turned around and left. It was 4 feet of water on a single-story home. The people that live there, there's pack rats and there's hoarders. Hoarders keep everything, pack rats keep everything that might one day be useful. They were somewhere close to that end of the spectrum. They had 25 years of stuff. They were, and you can imagine what that does inside a house. Anyway, long story short, by the time we were done with that one, we felt like there wasn't anything we couldn't do. And everybody in our club was looking at me at the end of that project saying, okay, where are we going next? And so connected with Crisis Cleanup Organization online, and the next place we went turned out to be a single mother of 2 whose kids were grown and gone off, lived by herself, no flood insurance. She's a special ed teacher in Lamar ISD schools, and we cleaned her house, and then it went to the next and the next. So now we look back and we cleaned roughly a dozen different houses. We've raised, and that just started from one phone call, somebody asking if they could help. The other one that came that got us going was a former Katy resident who's president of a club in Florida who said, can we start an online fundraiser for you on Facebook? I said, sure. And next thing you know, we've got $3,000 pledged online and clubs calling us from around the country saying we want to send you money. I will tell you some of the things we've learned through all this. We've raised over $30,000 and we're still going. We still have checks coming in. People are still pledging online. We did a Hops for Hope fundraiser that raised over 10 grand in Katy. But the things we learned from this was, number one, how important the social media piece was. Because all these people, the reason they were responding to us was everything we were doing was going up on our Facebook. Everything was going on the club website, and it exploded virally. So the one thing I will say that we learned for sure is the power of social media when this kind of thing is happening. And we've also taken it away that even when it's not a crisis, the power of that social media and what you can do as a club to let people know what you're doing and how infectious that can be. I would say one of the other things I've learned is how much a king-size Sealy Posturepedic mattress weighs when it's soaking wet. It's a lot. Because it took like 6 people to get that mattress out of one of the houses we cleaned. Those memory foam, they hold a lot of water memory. So at any rate, if you look at how we're developing our process, like most things that you do when you don't have a plan, you have to develop one on the fly. I will tell you that the leadership in our club stepped up, whether it was Rhonda Walls Kirby, who's the head of our charitable fund within the club, that we were funneling all the money through, working with me as the president, and all the others in the club that stepped up. We had to develop a plan in a hurry. Plan to handle the finances, plan to figure out how we're going to screen people to get to assess needs in our community, and that's ongoing for us. We've already, we've made some big grants. We've taken care of food at Katy Christian Ministries when they ran out for people that lost, you don't think about it, but when your house floods, your refrigerator is most likely downstairs and full of soaking wet, ruined food. So food needs in Katy were really immediate, and we were able to step in because of the things we were doing and help meet that need. Now, we've gone through that cleanup phase, the how do you help with the people that are displaced phase, and we're shifting into the how do you rebuild phase. So now our focus is, with the funds that we still have coming in and what's left, how do we start to screen, how do we do the process? And frankly, we're not that creative, so we're copying what the district's doing. We're using a grants process, we're doing needs assessment, and we're asking Rotarians in the club and all around that if you see a need in our area, and we're publicizing to the community on our Facebook page and on our Rotary page, if you see something that we can make a difference with, let us know. And then we're assessing those needs, screening those grants, and making those awards. At the end of the day, I'll tell you, as 4 months into my presidency, which I now feel like I'm officially a third of the way through to that coveted job of past president, almost as good as past district governor right here. But it's this 4 months has flown by, but in the best way, because I'm never going to forget, and I'm changed because of being part of this Rotary response to what's going on in Katy, in the Houston area, and all over Texas. And it makes me so proud and so honored to tell people I'm a Rotarian, and we actually really do make a difference.
The Rotary Club of West U is going to be John Collier. There you are.
Standing here. We had been through, and most of you know this, Katrina, Ike, and just learned some things that we knew we were not going to do, that we weren't going to start with collecting clothes. But we had a couple of things that we thought might be guidelines, not a formula, but a guideline. One was we're going to ask a lot of questions about who's helping who for those who've lost things for Harvey. We're going to ask a lot of questions. We're going to find out where they're working, who they're helping, how they're helping, what they have to help with. And so we can learn from our club how we might respond or come alongside them. And then we're going to make a lot of site visits because we found out in previous times that if you don't make site visits, you don't actually know what's going on. What people may tell you is happening, it may not be exactly right. What they say they have, they don't always know. So we began to do that. On the Saturday of September the 2nd, we received $25,000 worth of supplies from a Jewish nonprofit in Florida. They contacted our club and said, if you would be the oversight and find a place to store it. We had a hard time finding a place, but the Holy Ghost Catholic Church in the Gulfland area was the store. But we want a Rotary Club to do the oversight. You have a good name. Rotary has a good name. You're ecumenical. You're blah, blah, blah. So we really want you to be the oversight. Rotary be the oversight. That kind of launched us. Some people in this room showed up. We unloaded about an hour, had about 30 people, 15 from Holy Ghost and about 15 from our club. And that kind of launched us because from that Saturday morning, we sent people to several different Red Cross shelters finding out what's happening there. What are they giving? What are they not giving? What do they have? What do they need? Find out for us. 2 people came back and said, the ones you sent us to, even though they're on the official Harris County Houston shelter list on September the 2nd, they're already closed. Someone else came back and said, no, ours is open and going strong, and we found out there are 290 people spending the night in this little small church out in Pasadena. So that kind of launched us. Says it's good to have eyes on the ground, to see what's happening, because one of the sites that was closed said go to the north side because there's something happening there. These 3 Rotarians went out there on the Saturday after they had helped unload, and they discovered that there was a church and a nonprofit that was dealing with literally hundreds of people who had flood loss. So over the next 60 days, we've supported 3 different projects. One was initially with supplies, over kind of surplus supplies from this placement of Holy Ghost, because we had more than we could actually use there. Then we bought shoes, because the Aldine School District said so many of these families have lost their shoes, and their kids have lost their shoes, getting ready to start school. and now we're working on a turkey Thanksgiving project. The small church in Pasadena that we kept up with, Red Cross was funding, of course, most of the things, but we discovered that the church was heavily impacted because they're a small church of 150 members, but they weren't expecting to have to up their utilities, to deal with all kinds of things. So we said, how could we help you? He said, well, we're actually, even after Red Cross left, we're still getting families who were spent the night here for several nights. They're coming to us, asking us, how can we help? So then we kind of adopted them as the second project. One of our members had presented a program called Planet Forward, refugee farming in Houston. We called them. Remember, we're asking questions, and they were doing site visits. And we called them, and they said, yes, we had significant loss. Some of our farmers lost their income for 3 months. Their crops were all flooded and damaged. Too much rain. How can you help? And so through that site visit and interviewing and so forth, and actually watched George and I, the president, went there and said, this is a project really worth doing. Many of us live in or around the city of West University, and we asked, what about our employees? What about our city employees, Parks and Recreation, janitors? We had 5 families in our community that had significant flood loss in their homes. Wally was involved and interviewed all of them, and it was really special. I thought 5 of them, 5 interviews in 5. That's 5 minutes. George, come up, George. So we visited pantries, we visited schools. HISD didn't need us because they had a huge gym full of stuff. A-Leaf had 400 staff and employees that were a problem. And so over time, we feel like our process has been our best asset. That is, ask a lot of questions. And secondly, do a lot of site visits.
Thank you, John. I'm George Adams. I'm lucky to be the president this year. There's been a lot to do, and I've loved every second. And I'm glad I have a John in my club. Quickly, all of these projects we did, and we had over 10 projects we funded, we didn't worry about where the money was coming from. We only worried about where's the need. And it says when we run out of money, we'll stop giving the need. Well, we hadn't run out of money yet. We have gifts coming in from around the country and our own members and foundations, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been great. We're still going down that track. We are working on 4 projects right now. Let's see if I can make this work.
Well, no, there's a flicker.
In the middle?
The right one.
All right, there. These are the 4 projects that we're working on right now. One family at a time. It's Project Starfish with Adore Ministries, very similar to Adopt a Family, to take them all the way to recovery. The more money we have, the more families we can adopt. Number 2, Thanksgiving turkeys. That's the one that John mentioned. That's the 3rd time we helped this one organization out in the Aldine area where everybody's had terrible flooding.
3 minutes.
The 3rd one is restoring lost transportation. We have a connection and a past relationship with the Emergency Aid Coalition, and they told us that one of the biggest things they need is transportation for their people so they can get to and from work. So we're having a project on that. Children with disabilities. Terry Ziegler is big into Easter seals, and one of our projects is restoring the mobility devices, and there's some longer projects there also. And there are many more. These are the ones we're focusing on now. And if anybody would like to partner with us on any of these ideas, call us and we'll tell you what we're doing.
As a reminder to those that are watching us online, this is captured. This whole seminar will be preserved. We're going to go over to with the Disaster USA, Harvey Relief, and also talk a little VOAD. And if the initials don't mean anything to you, fine, you're going to find out. Right, Wayne? There you go.
Thank you. Well, you got a wine with me with Disaster Aid USA, so this is going to go quick because I'm actually wearing 3 hats tonight. I am a club president. So thank you to the Cypress Fairbanks Club. We've received about $20,000. We'll be spending that in the Side Fair District. My second job is Bill's disaster chair for the 3rd year. And when the disaster hit, your plan goes in the garbage can and clubs run in different directions and do as they wish, and clubs have been doing great. And then third and foremost, I am the zone chair for Disaster Aid USA, which kind of takes me to the next level, which is where the club can go for recovery. So though I am a club president and though I am your district's disaster chair, I also hold a little bit of a higher role and responsibility. For those who don't know, Disaster Aid is a club project. Right now, currently, there's about 20 of us that do this domestically. We're now up to 9 domestic trailers. 7 of them are in service, including the drying trailer, with 2 more being put into service. And then, of course, there's where they're housed. There's 3 in Cypress, 2 in Lake Charles, Louisiana, 1 in Baltimore, 1 in Morgantown, West Virginia, but that trailer happens to be in Florida. So anytime there's something domestic, you will see Disaster Aid USA, a Rotary Club project, go anywhere that they need us to go. So I need to apologize both to my club and my district members. Sometimes when I leave, I just go. I have a totally different mindset when a disaster happens. The flood made it to the front of my house. It didn't come into my house. The first home I did was my insurance agent. And the only guy that I ever got in Rotary that left Rotary, my own insurance agent. Then after that, I put my head down and I don't return phone calls. I don't even write back. I don't call back. Because I'm in a total different mindset when it comes to disaster because of what it does to you physically and mentally. So if it would be for Patrick Leslie, for Graham Sharp, for Greg Baldwin, for Rebecca Maddox, for Irene Hickey, for all the Rotarians that helped me during this, thank you. Because I turned into a totally different person when this happened. So when Jeff calls, I go to Jeff. When we get a call, we just go. This is kind of what we have as far as the members. This is how it kind of breaks down. And for those who don't know what 21B is, that is that magenta color in Texas. I'm responsible for 8 Rotary districts. So the same thing that we talk about here in 5890, I will be talking to in 5910 and in 5930. So that's kind of how we break it down. This is my current board. Greg happens to be in a room today, who's the vice chair of 5890. Thank you, Peter Belden. Thank you, Patrick Leslie. In the back, of course, 2 advisors. Vicki Brett is an advisor to Disaster Aid USA and does traveling for us. And again, so is Graham Sharp, who is also a BOED vice chair, which we'll talk about. So this is what we do at Disaster Aid. So when Jeff calls, yes, I'll muck and go. Yes, I'll train you how to pull out. If you want to know how to do wiring, Carmen Cunha, master electrician, will come show you. She's wonderful at it. So if your club has a desire to be trained, we have plenty of money set aside for training. We have 3 crisis counselors that we keep on staff, so if that's in your heart to go out and be a crisis counselor, we would love for you to do that. If you could do point of distribution, where we sit you in a city and actually hand out and map out things. They don't need us for that in Harris County, but for some of the smaller ones that we do, these are the ones that we've all done domestic. These are all the domestic that we've done. I've been to all of them, but 2 of them. So domestic for me is pretty simple. Green means are still going on. We're still cleaning up Denham Springs. We're still cleaning up West Virginia. We're still cleaning up Rowlett, Fort Bend, and now, of course, in Harvey. Disaster Aid USA claimed 108 homes, and we've done 102 of the 108 that we. That's just not us. That's our BOED chapter members. That happens to be Rotary clubs, not the Katy clubs or the West Chute Club, are the ones that we've done. If you haven't seen our trailer, it's just a good old trailer just loaded up with gear. Thanks to UMCOR, thanks to Catholic Charities, thanks to all the other people that actually put those muck buckets together, so when we drop off those buckets, I'll use one of those. And then that's what you look like after a day of mucking and gutting. The guy in the far right's a new Rotarian. He's the tallest and strongest, so he's the cleanest. This is what we did in Harvey. My team came from the east. I couldn't get out of Harris County. Larry came over from West Virginia. He's part of the Cajun Navy. He brought his trailer. He brought his interactors, he brought his family, and he did water rescue. And then when the water had too much E. coli in it, he actually started mucking and gutting in Katy with Jeff's club. First one that we met up was with Katy. Then we started Harvey. That's not Bill's house, but that's his neighbor's house across the street, but that is all of Bill's stuff in front of his house. And there's everyone from regular Rotarians to the president of our Rotary Community Corps, who we call the Winter Soldier. And then there, if you don't know, Bill Hall, one of our longtime Rotarians, he's the first phone call that we got. And I usually don't pull up tongue and groove floors, but we pulled it up because of Bill. There's a happy Rotarian with his respirator. So when you go in, we'll make sure you wear the proper respiratory. Sometimes we use bleach, we use borax, we use whatever that we're done. And if you've never seen a front yard, that's what a front yard is supposed to look like. That little map is how you're supposed to put it on your curb. But the picture on this left is how it ends up on the curb, and that happens to be Katie, and that's what. There's his team. There's Patrick. First time Patrick's been dirty in a long time. There's Jerry, one of our Katy Rotarians who happens to be an insurance agent. He can give you his own story. There's a muck and gut. The worst one we did, of course, was a fellow Rotarian's house. That happens to be Elaine Combs, 8 foot of water. In the far corner back there is past District Governor Rhonda Walls, who's the only lady I've seen muck a house and not dirty.
You're supervising.
She was supervising. She did a great job.
I'm not gonna dodge.
The thing that we do different now is, Jeff can attest to this, we got a donation from a Rotarian, so we actually have a dryer. Again, if you call me early enough, one of us can get this set up, we can dry a house out in 24 to 48 hours, save the cabinet, save some of the drywall. This was donated to us by a Rotarian. That's about a $30,000 machine that we do. We'll gladly bring that in. And then you'll just see some of the different things that we do. So if you can't muck and gut, if you can do point of distribution, we call it pod. If you can deliver, if you can help us filter water, if you can help us do debris, these are some of the different things that we do. And then, of course, soil water filters we always have. We gave out over 10,000 soil water filters in Beaumont. Beaumont didn't have water for 10 days. 59 Rotarians in disaster aid with air filtering, passing out, and their mosquito spray and their sunscreen. So sometimes when you see that I'm gone, it's just because I'm out doing other things for other people. So I need to apologize to my club. I've kind of been a missing president. Well, I did pass my inspection on Monday, I hope. As your district chair, if there's something you need as a club, not only do we come out and help you, but we are looking for partners. We are a VOAD member, which is Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. Our current vice chair is in the room. This is Brian Sharper, Rotarian. We have over 75 agencies. If you want help or you want to get connected with someone to give away their money, use their money, let us know. Ram's in the back here. I know we're about to run out of time, but VOAD is Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters. We are a member. If you want to come to a meeting, or if you want to get closer to Catholic Charities, if you want to get closer to UMCOR, Jewish Family Faith, any of those people that we happen to do. Graham, we got about 2 minutes. So in the back is Graham Sharp. He's a VOAD chair. He'll tell you kind of about what VOAD is quickly. He'll tell you when the meetings are. And then we'll end with that, Wally. Graham Sharp from the Houston Club.
Thank you, Wade. First of all, VOAD stands for, like all of these organizations, we've all got acronyms. VOAD stands for Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. So what that means is disaster aid is a member, Catholic Charities is a member. We've heard about 3-4 clubs tonight that have done a lot of good work. There are lots of organizations that want to get involved. And the challenge is we all want to do different things in different places. So the challenge then comes is how do we best coordinate and use all the different people that want to do things? Like Wayne said, we have 70-odd organizations at the moment that subscribe to VOAD, and we are really a brokerage that says we have all of these people that provide all these services in all these areas. So if someone has a problem in, I don't know, Bel Air, who serves Bel Air, what do? You pick them up, call them up, and we marshal them. VOAD is growing. It's only been operating about 1.5 years, but it is growing. We're getting more members, and people are beginning to respect us a lot more, especially Fort Bend County emergency, Harris County emergency. You know, Judge Ed Emmett is a good supporter, and Houston. So the more people get involved, it's great that clubs are off doing their own things, but if we can, you know, lots of people do less and achieve more. So the more we can sort of organize and contribute to one another's support, the better off we'll be. Great idea. Please come. There is a meeting, funnily enough, we meet every other month, next Tuesday at 10 o'clock at the Houston Food Bank on I-10 East. And believe you me, VOAD love Rotary. So they just can't get enough of it. Very proud to say that.
Thank you, Grant. Kill things off. We're going to go into a little area where we're kind of leaving the clubs, but not leaving the clubs. And I anticipate that we're going to take a break, or have the opportunity to take a break in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you take a break before then, please do not hesitate to step outside. Restrooms are in that direction. Again, this is all being recorded. I'm going to go, I guess, Vicki, is it just you for this segment?
Yeah.
Okay, but I do have past District Governor Kirby.
You can introduce.
Well, allow me at this time, because they're going to be a match set. Vicki Brenton from the Houston Skyline Club and past District Governor Rhonda Walls Kirby from the Rotary Club of Katy. They have different responsibilities, but sometimes those lines get blurred. And I think they may be more blurred after tonight. Maybe y'all can distinguish so that people will know which is Vicki's area to go bug her about and which is an area to go bug Rhonda about, so that they have their own areas. But y'all can turn on your mics at this time, because I'm turning this one off.
Is that on? Is that on?
Go ahead and say something.
Well, I am. How's that?
Give it a chance.
All right.
There we go.
How's that?
There we
Is that
go.
working? Okay, great. Well, who would have known when the slogan "People of Action" was selected for this Rotary year that it could have not have been more compelling and certainly not more revealing, I feel like, about the people in this district. If you just listen to the stories of the club members who spoke, disaster aid, who we all know what they did from the very get-go after Hurricane Harvey hit. They were getting geared up before Hurricane Harvey hit. And to hear the stories of all they've done and the lives that they have impacted, I can't imagine a better descriptive or what Rotary International meant by people in action. And I want to thank District Governor Bill Palco for giving me the opportunity to serve in this role to chair the disaster recovery piece. So just to explain a little bit about my background and why I'm so excited about doing that is that for many years I did work in international development and firsthand had a lot of experience with what happens in disaster relief. And because I knew that there would be two very distinct phases of that. One, when you're just operating in that crisis mode to do the things that we all just, many of us heard about and we were all living in, that within a few short weeks, we begin to shift into what's called disaster recovery. And for every environment, it always happens. It doesn't matter if it's Haiti or Kosovo or Katrina or Houston. That process is the same. What could be different is the time frame in which you get into recovery. And Houston is such an amazing place. We're so proud of this city and our ability to bounce back. And so I think for Houston, we certainly have begun to move into recovery, perhaps even a little faster than others do. And certainly I can tell you, because I'm working in Puerto Rico now and with disaster aid there, that they're not going to shift nearly as fast as Houston does into the recovery mode. So thank you for asking me. Now you wonder why, and in part I wanted to explain that, why we felt it might be important to have a disaster recovery committee. Because I knew that if we did it and we did it the right way, we would have the opportunity for District 5890 to develop some amazing signature, impactful projects that could really make a difference and would also entitle us to compete for a bigger amount of money for us to do the work that we could do in the recovery mode. And so I hope that you'll find our doing this does just that, that it does allow us to be more competitive for dollars that are going to be out there for recovery. I'm sorry,
The right-hand button, the east button.
All right.
You can also see it on the screen there.
Oh,
The
okay.
left hand.
I got it. So good. All right. So, you know all these people, and it was really just for purposes of making some executive decisions. These are the folks that are serving on the executive committee. But the real work gets done at this level, right? And so these sector leaders, club leaders that you see, and this is a work in process. This is not definitive. These sectors and these names are really just a beginning, because our hope is that we're going to be adding names to these committees, and we're even can add sectors if any of you have got compelling projects you want us to put forth. The reason these particular sectors are listed, restoration of homes, and if that's something I'm led to believe, I could be wrong, but I think that disaster aid wants to continue to do in a recovery process. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. And mentoring of families, like you heard about from Skyline and the amazing project that I know John Collier is putting together with an organization they work with called Adore Ministries, which is really going to be a great project for us to hear more about. In the area of mental health, you heard about the project that Sanjay talked about that Michelle Barrere is going to lead on behalf of Skyline. But again, the hope is that there will be other clubs who want to be a part of it. And a fourth area that to me is just so Rotary, right? Vocational service. It's always what we've been about, and helping people get back to work in an entrepreneurial way. These are all areas, I didn't just make these up. Every one of these areas fit into the sectors that our mega funds and our city leaders told us they wanted to be a priority in Houston, right? We can add if there are other areas that your clubs are wanting to work in, that you've started to work in, and you would like that to become part of something that the district committee can help promote for you. I want to hear about them. All right. I want to also acknowledge that a committee could not function without these people that totally make things happen for us in a communications way. Rebecca Maddox is who we're going to count on for getting the word out and keeping our website updated. Irene Hickey has been amazing. Her background is really wonderful and a very supportive way to help us and also as a technical writer. So a lot of the writing that we've even had to do thus far, Irene she's done that for us, and she is willing to help with technical writing for grants that we need to submit. So I'm going to put that out there. If you, I told Irene we won't overwhelm her, so if you need some help and I can help get that orchestrated for you, then that's something that we don't want that to be a barrier between your club getting a project because you don't feel that you know how to put the grants together. And then Wally, of course, from the foundation, thank you for this and all you're doing to help us get the word out. So what will this committee of people do, all right? So number one, what could help us, we think, in developing projects that are going to be more impactful and more competitive for bigger dollars, whether it's from the Donor Advised Fund, whether it's from District 5890 charities, or even to link in with partners who are getting funds from the mega funds, right? We can help develop signature projects and best practices that will be more competitive for those grants. We want to help identify Rotarians that want to lead John Collier has already, I mean, he's been someone I reached out to 2 weeks ago because I knew of his skill set and his ability to put those kind of great projects together, and I appreciate that, and others. So we want to promote and help leverage, and I'm going to say it over and over about this a little later, leverage, leverage, and leverage, and you'll hear more about that. We want to involve our Rotaractors and our Interactors and support them in having a meaningful role in our projects. That's really important. We want to communicate, and we really want to promote positive messages about Harvey recovery that are consistent with that theme of people in action. So, Wally, might this be a good time if you want a break? And I want to remind you that if you were here and you did not, you have multiple people from your club and you were not especially coming because you wanted to hear about Harvey stuff, but you would like to hear about Rotary Foundation 101, I think there's an opportunity for you to do that at the same time.
We're going to, if you will turn your thing off, just so I can turn this one on. Press that power button. What we're going to do, there we go. Let me spend a few minutes talking about the district grants that are going to happen. Then we're going to take our break. Then we will split off and those that want to do the Rotary one. Because this is going to be a few minutes. District designated funds, DDF. Those are 3 years ago when you gave $1 to the share campaign, 50 cents came back to the district. This year, the contributions will be coming back during a district governor to be chosen in the very near future. Well, we have what we did, and we did with the district grants, and we took care of all those district grants. We had 50 some odd clubs participate. And then we had Harvey come in. And so then we went back to the Rotary Foundation and said, what can we do? Can we do anything? And in essence, we recaptured some of our DDF, our district designated funds. So what we're going to be doing, and Lisa Pauls, who's our District Rotary Foundation Chair Grant Subcommittee, wish she could, but she's not. Hi, Lisa. But here's going to be what the plan's going to be. There'd be the guidelines. It's $15,000 total in district. The deadline to apply is December 1, 2017. Not quite a month from now, but plenty of time for a club to get their ducks in a row. The application is online. If you go to Rotary589.org and you go to the District Rotary Foundation Subcommittee page, you'll see under the District Grants section a Harvey District Grant. So it's got its own application. It is different but similar to the district grant applications. So in your club, whoever filled out the district grant application ought to maybe fill in this one out too, because it'll be easier. The match is 33%, not 50%. So in other words, if your club spends $3, it's $1. Y'all, $15,000, we expect to have more people asking. And in essence, it's like spending $45,000 to get that $15,000 back. This is not like district grants when we have a large pot of money and we then see how many clubs are going to apply and then we then figure out what's going to be done. We've not been in this position before. We've been doing Future Vision district grant programs since 2010-11. We've never done this before this way. So all I can tell you is that we're going to be making some decisions, and the limit's going to be $3,000. So yes, your club is going to have to spend $9,000 to get the full match. And ultimately, we're going to have to make some decisions, and we're going to try to be fair to all concerned. In other words, we may say we can't give you a full, we can give you some. We may say to a club, y'all have not done anything, but you're asking for money now. That's not fair to all concerned. Since we've not done this before, we're going to be a little flexible on it, but again, we're going to guideline with the fair to all concerned. Again, the application is at the district website, District Rotary Foundation subcommittee page. Lisa Pauls is there. If you're going to have any questions, we know you'll have questions. Fine. The deadline's December 1st. Getting it in tomorrow doesn't necessarily put you in the front of the line, but if your application has holes in it, the sooner you get it in, the sooner we can get back to your club and say, wait a second, you can't do that. You can't give out food cards. Someone said that's right. But so the sooner you get it in, the sooner we would be able to determine if there are problems with that. So that handles that. I'll be available afterwards. We're going to take a break at this time, and then we're going to come back again with Vicki and Rhonda to really get into some guts about what the opportunities might be in the way of funding. And again, this is all being recorded. Thank you. 10 minutes. Terry?
Where we at?
Situational. Oh man, I'm